I'm Kate from Lurvey Home and Garden in Des Plaines, and I'm here to talk to you today about cutting back perennials in the fall, or maybe better to say to cut or not to cut. So the couple things you want to think about when you're thinking about fall cleanup and your perennials, winter habitat, winter interest, and general growth characteristics of the plant. So some things you would not want to cut back, or at least consider waiting, are things that give you winter interest. So grasses, ornamental grasses are a great example, whether they're tall or short ornamental grasses. These are going to dry, they're going to stand up nice and tall and give you structure in the winter garden. So I would say leave them up. Another thing about these grasses are they are natives, and they are going to provide some food for the birds, as well as things like this echinacea, this coneflower here, which seed head gives lots of seeds for the birds. So another one I would say definitely to not cut back for that reason. So we've got winter habitat, winter interest, great reasons to leave things up for the winter. So next we'll talk about things that you do want to cut but want to take some special consideration or thought in deciding. Okay, so here we have Allium Summer Beauty, and this is one of those that you could kind of go either way. So it does have what some would consider a lovely seed head drying on it, holds it up nice and tall above the foliage. You can leave this on and you can see what that looks like. Or you can decide, because if you're like my mom who thinks this is a dead plant, that's okay too. You can prune it off. So I just took and cut all of these off, and any of the new growth from this summer, left that on there, and that's something then you can finish cleaning up in the spring. So that's kind of a subjective thing, whether you think it looks nice with the seed heads or whether you'd rather see it cleaned up. You could do it either way. So one of the other groupings of plants to consider was how they grow and making your decision on whether to cut back based on that. So here I have pulled a couple examples. Hellebores, Lenten rose, this is a corabelle. We've got a geranium here, and that's what this big one here is, as well as dianthus. And all of these are evergreen or semi-evergreen, which means they're going to hold a lot of color over the winter, and some maybe, but not all, leaves are going to die back, but a lot of it is going to stay green. So that's a great reason not to cut it back, because that's an awesome characteristic of a perennial, and you might as well leave it and enjoy that all winter. So these are a couple, based on how they grow, that you would not need to cut back. Okay, so here we are where we have a couple of things that you can definitely cut back and want to cut back. Daylilies are a great example, and now this is one that can be so easy that you can actually just pull some of these stalks right off, and same with some of the dead leaves. But anything that doesn't come right off, it's best to prune it off. And this is one that you can prune all the way down to the ground, so there's pretty much nothing left. They're going to come back from roots only. Then we have here some salvia. Now this is a cool perennial that it has actually already been cut back once, because it does a great job of reblooming when you do that. But you can see all of this dead growth. This is stuff you're gonna prune off, but you can leave what's down here at the base, which is new growth, new basal rosette of leaves. You can leave that. A couple other examples. This one, yarrow, grows the same way. Keep the new leaves at the bottom, but cut those tall stalks off. And then phlox and bee balm are a couple of really cool pollinator attracting plants, but they almost always are going to get some kind of leaf disease, powdery mildew. Doesn't kill the plant, but it does give you kind of unsightly leaves. So this is when you're going to prune all the way back to the ground and put it in the fire pit, not in the compost bin. So yeah, so some examples of things you're definitely going to cut back. There are a couple last special perennials I want to show you a special tip on. So let's go see that. Okay, last but not least, a couple of really cool perennials that you want to take some extra consideration when you're cutting these back. Right here is a beautiful hardy hibiscus. And this is one that comes up really late in the spring. It's a late bloomer, so it gets going late in the spring. It likes to sleep in. So because of that, you want to make sure when you cut this back that you're leaving a good, well, I guess that's 6 inches, 2 to 3 inches at least of plant material. So it's going to be dead stalks. These actually have very thick stalks. You can see that. But you're going to cut this back, leaving at least 3 inches above the soil level. Same is going to go for things like butterfly weed. You're going to cut this back, but because it is a late to come up in the spring, you want to give that some space. You want to know that something's there so you don't go digging up and planting something new, and you know that you got something to look forward to in that spot. So balloon flower is another one that's just late to come up. So if you leave yourself a couple, 2-3 inches of plant material, then you will know in spring you got that to look forward to. So yeah, you don't want to miss out on this. So thank you so much for joining us for perennials, what to cut back, what not to cut back. If you have more questions, come in and visit us in the home and garden store in Des Plaines. We still have plenty of stuff for you, plant material and much, much more. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks.